Hey guys, Mosa here, and today I'm bringing you my Week 1 Monday Night Football prediction between the Chicago Bears and the Minnesota Vikings. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, let's kick it off with the injury report of the Chicago Bears, starting with linebacker TJ Edwards with a hamstring injury. He is doubtful for the game. Then moving on to defensive backs, Josh Blackwell, Kyler Gordon, and Jalen Johnson with a groin, hamstring, and calf and groin injury, respectively. All of them questionable for this game, alongside running back Roschon Johnson with a foot injury. Then moving on to wide receiver Devin Duvernay with a hamstring injury, running back Kyle Monagai, I don't know if that's how you say it, but he also has an hamstring injury, and defensive lineman Dominic Robinson with an oblique injury. Now, in my opinion, obviously, TJ Edwards, I don't expect him to play. He will indeed miss this game, in my opinion. Then moving on to the defensive backs, I think all of them may be a little iffy on Johnson and Gordon, but I think indeed all three of them will be setting up to play in this game against the Minnesota Vikings. And Roschon Johnson, I don't know how you say his first name, but still a foot injury. He's not really the starter, so it's going to be Swift. In the end, he might actually get to play as well, because I think that they do need some backup running backs for DeAndre Swift, just so they can give him some rest throughout some snaps. But mostly in the game, he's probably going to be on the bench, but he will indeed play. And when it comes down to injuries, it's going to hinder their defense a lot. And this is a tough game against the Minnesota Vikings, who last year had a good season with the Sam Darnold-led Vikings, now going up against JJ McCarthy. So any help on defense could help, and this is going to hinder the Chicago Bears, especially with the potential loss of TJ Edwards. Now, moving on to the Chicago Bears offense, we got quarterback Caleb Williams, running back DeAndre Swift, receivers DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, tight ends are Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland, with tackles Braxton Jones, Darnell Wright, and left guard Joe Tooney, with right guard Jonah Jackson and Drew Dalman at center. Now, when it comes down to this Chicago Bears offense, I think it's going to have a pretty decent game for Caleb Williams, but I think we're going to be seeing a lot of handoffs to DeAndre Swift, potentially. And if he has to throw it, obviously, it's most likely going to be for Colston Loveland, DJ Moore, or Rome Odunze. I think Cole Kmet may get a few there, but he's not going to be the main target. It's going to be one of those three. Maybe Rome Odunze the most, or DJ Moore. But in the end, they're going to have a very good game with, honestly, it's not going to be a 300, a 200, maybe 200 passing yards for Caleb Williams, but it's definitely not going to be under 200 where they're just going to suck like they did last year. I think that for this game, Caleb Williams will have a decent game, and the Chicago Bears offense will have a very good game. But with that defense, are they really going to have a good game? Now, moving on to the defense of the Chicago Bears, starting with defensive ends Montez Sweat and Dajo Odejingbo. I don't know if that's how you say it, but they'll be the defensive ends. Defensive tackles Grady Jarrett and Jervon Dexter Sr. Linebackers are Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. But if Edwards cannot go, then he will be replaced by Ruben Hippolyte II. And then we move on to quarterbacks Tyreek Stevenson and Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, if he cannot go, Nashawn Wright will take over, and nickelback Kyler Gordon. But if he cannot go, Nick McLeod will take over, with free safety Kevin Byard and strong safety Jaquan Brisker. Now, when it comes down to this defense, they got some good safeties back there in Brisker and Byard. But honestly, if they lose Johnson and Gordon, that's going to be a heavy toll on their defensive backfield. Their secondaries is going to be significantly just shut off a little bit. But regardless of that, I think that their secondary, if the players stay on the field, they're all good. I think that their secondary will be pretty good. Linebacking core without Edwards, that's going to be some troublesome for Tremaine Edmonds. But the defensive line, Sweat, Jarrett, and Dexter, those guys, and Dajo as well, they're just getting to JJ McCarthy all day long. That's all they would need. They need to pressure this guy. He's in his second year, but this is his first regular season game. So they need to get the pressure on him, and I think they can get the pressure with these guys, especially Montez Sweat. I think that these guys definitely have what it takes on the front seven, but can they put the pressure on JJ McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings offense with this front seven? I think it's possible, but it really all comes down to whether or not they can. And I think, in my opinion, definitely there is a possibility of them being able to do this, but I still think that it could be up in the air on whether or not the Chicago Bears can. And if they can, this game's all Chicago. Now, moving on to the Minnesota Vikings injury report, starting with running back Xavier Scott and defensive lineman Elijah Williams and safety Harrison Smith with an ankle, hamstring, and illness, respectively. All of them out for this game, with tackle Christian Darrisaw with a knee injury. He is questionable for the game, and wide receiver Jalen Naylor with a hand injury, and linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel with a neck injury. Now, when it comes down to it, obviously losing Elijah Williams, not that big of a deal, and the same goes for Xavier Scott. But losing Harrison Smith, that's going to be a heavy toll on the Vikings secondary. I think he's one of their best safeties, definitely. But also, potentially losing Christian Darrisaw on that offensive line is going to be another pill to swallow for the Minnesota Vikings, as honestly, that is something crucial. Like last time, they couldn't protect JJ McCarthy in the preseason. Imagine if they can't protect him now. I think that we're going to be seeing a little bit of an issue there when it comes to the offensive line of the Minnesota Vikings, but I think that either ways, they'll have a good, relatively good game. They have a bit of an issue there in secondary. They have a bit of an issue on the offensive line, but if they can get through those issues, I think they can win this game. Otherwise, they're going to be smoked by Chicago. Now, moving on to the offense of the Minnesota Vikings, we got quarterback J.J. McCarthy, running back Aaron Jones Sr., C.J. Ham at fullback, wide receivers Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen, tight end would be T.J. Hawkinson, left tackle would be Christian Darrisaw with right tackle Brian O'Neill, but if Darrisaw cannot go, Josh Oliver will replace him. Then left guard Donovan Jackson with Will Fries at the right guard position and Ryan Kelly at center. Now, when it comes down to this offense, I think that the problem will be protecting J.J. McCarthy. I think Aaron Jones could get a few plays, decent runs in this game, but as long as you keep J.J. McCarthy upright, he can get those balls to Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Obviously, Jordan Addison not playing in this game due to suspension, so that's going to be a heavy toll on the receiving core of the Minnesota Vikings. But regardless, I think that we're still going to be seeing a very good game from J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings if they can protect him, whether Darrisaw or Oliver are on the field. Moving on to the Minnesota Vikings defense, and we got defensive linemen Jonathan Allen, Jalen Redmond, and Javon Hargrave with edge rushers Jonathan Greenard and Andrew Van Ginkel, who can also push back to be linebackers. Then we get on to linebackers Blake Cashman and Ivan Pace Jr., cornerbacks Byron Murphy Jr. and Isaiah Rogers, and free safety Theo Jackson, who is replacing the injured Harrison Smith, and Joshua Metellus will be the strong safety. Now, when it comes down to this defense, honestly, their secondary is an issue, and that's where the Bears are going to want to hit them. So, honestly, maybe lay off one of the edge rushers, put them at linebacker, make sure they got more protection in the back, deep in the secondary. Whatever you can do to help out the secondary. But, honestly, then you get the problem of not pressuring the quarterback. Honestly, Caleb Williams, if you make him make mistakes, that's a very good thing for your defense. And I think that they can do that, but honestly, it's not that big of a deal compared to the secondary issue. Because if you got the other guy not being pressured, and then you get a guy like, let's say, DJ Moore or something like that, back there, ready to catch a ball, that's going to be an issue. So I think that the Minnesota Vikings defense is really going to struggle, but it's not going to struggle as much as if, obviously, the Chicago Bears do have struggles as well due to injuries. But for them, it's not confirmed whether those players are out or not. For these guys, they lost their best safety, and that's going to make them struggle in that secondary. Now, in conclusion, I have the Minnesota Vikings winning this 14-13. I think it's going to be not a game-sealing field goal or a game-winning touchdown or whatever. It's going to be a game-sealing extra point block. I think that the extra point will be blocked by the Vikings in the attempt for the Chicago Bears. And yeah, the Vikings will then get the ball back and either run out the clock with a few runs, or if the other team doesn't have any timeouts, well, kneel it out. To be honest, I think this is going to be a very close game. It could go either ways, just like the one with Seattle and San Francisco. But realistically, it really all comes down to who can make the better play at certain times. And to be honest, I think the Chicago Bears are going to fail there at the very end, as they then take an L to the Minnesota Vikings, a division rival. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Who do you think is going to win and who do you think is going to lose? Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.